Hi, welcome to podcast number 11 for Ask the $50 Billion Man. My name's Dan Peña, in case you don't know, which I'd be surprised if you'd be listening to this or watching it on YouTube. We're going to answer a number of questions. I enjoy these times. Somebody asked me recently, how do you have time, Dan? You're a very busy guy. How do you have time to do all these podcasts? Well, I can assure you when I started out, I thought I'd do one a quarter. And then I thought I'd do one every 6 weeks. And then I thought I'd do one every 4 weeks. And now we're doing them about every 2 weeks. And that's, that fills up my schedule for sure. But one of the reasons I do them is that it allows me, as our first question on London Real that's coming up, or a question from a London Real listener is coming up, it allows me to spread the word, and if 500 or 5,000 people watch this, then that's 500 or 5,000 less people that I have to personally touch. But one of the big reasons I'm still coaching, and I get asked all the time, is like this that I received while I was gone on my birthday trip. This is from one of the orphanages that my wife support, and it happens to be it's quite heart-rendering that the kids put this kind of effort in, and you can see these pictures on Facebook, and it shows me taking them all out to dinner, etc. But they're very thoughtful, and I appreciate it. But because I have more opportunity and I have more choices than most people, because my wife and I have been successful, this extends that success. Now, another question, I was during the break earlier this morning, I was reading one of the questions that came in from one of my current mentees, and he asked the question, Dan, who else other than yourself in the personal development, success coaching arena is qualified to answer these kind of questions that you're doing on the podcast? I laughed, I chuckled to myself, and I emailed him back quickly. Well, I'm going to answer that, even though it's not a question that I'm asked, hasn't been asked yet, but should be asked. None that I'm aware of. There are plenty of guys that are doing podcasts that have been successful in business that aren't filling up seats in seminars and selling DVDs, but they're not in the real coaching, mentoring business. They're making their living, and everybody has the right to make a living from giving out information. But the information they're giving out isn't in this format, where they're actually answering questions. So there's very few, precious few, that are out there. Some might argue there's nobody out there that can do this. I'm not sure that's true, but anyway, let's get started. First one, as you quite openly state, you have failed more than anybody you know. What I want to know is, what was your biggest failure in your career and why? Well, I've had a couple of them. I consider it a personal failure because I got thrown out of Great Western because I underestimated the savagery of the shareholders in conjunction with the share price dropping dramatically when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and Kuwait owned about 30% of the company. So that was probably my biggest failure. I should have been able to see past that, but I didn't. I was so caught up with the share price dropping and me trying to support the share price with my own money and the company money, I didn't see that. I got caught up in the emotion, the fog of war. That's probably my biggest failure. And because I firmly believe that I could have taken the company back to its glory days and the share price back where it was before that debacle. And unfortunately, the share price stayed down and was ultimately sold off to another major oil company. I've heard it said that you learn the most from your failures. So what did you learn, take away from this, and how has it helped you? Well, it's helped me to look past the current emotion of the time. And more than anything, since I haven't been active in the acquisition model as heavily, or nowhere near as heavily as I used to be, but I am involved in it with my mentees. And so I've allowed them the experience through me, hopefully my sage advice, to look past the current situation. What is the main purpose of a business, as in to provide value or to make profits? Well, I think that they're not mutually exclusive. I don't think I know. If you provide value, you will make profits. And I don't know if you mean by profits to yourself because the share price goes up. If it's providing value by making profits for the company, it's an oxymoron. The share price will go up and you'll provide value. But they're not mutually exclusive. I've heard it said on more than one occasion that the fastest way to structure a successful deal is with a joint venture. What they never tell you is the specifics, how and when and what. I've had bad experience in more than one of my businesses to the point that I threw in the towel, I'm embarrassed to say, and I'm ready to start again. What is your take on the JV route? And if you agree, how would you go about it all? When I first heard about you, I didn't know what to make of you, but you are the real fucking deal. Thank you. I am the real fucking deal. You're right about that. And the JVs are good for a couple of reasons. Number one, normally joint venture, 50-50 joint venture financing is off balance sheet. And you can Google and see, you can understand what that means. But basically, it doesn't put you under any restrictions, normally speaking, under any restrictions for your debt and equity ratios. And number two, JVs give you an instant track record because you're, rightly or wrongly, you're equated with your joint venture partner, and they assume that the joint venture partner has done due diligence. They assume the joint venture partner believes in you as an individual, as a CEO, a founder, etc. Mr. Peña, I've been working for our family business for many years and have done a great job. How do I ask for a pay rise? Well, for our family business, that means you're part of the family. It shouldn't be too damn difficult for you to ask for a pay rise. I'm surprised, unless you're already making an exorbitant amount of money, which it sounds like you're not. It sounds like you shouldn't be there. It sounds like you made a mistake staying that long. But to get to direct answer to the question, you walk in and ask whoever the chairman, the CEO, your father, your mother, your brother, whoever's running the place, that you want more money. But be able to prove them, show them how you've added value over the years. When you're in the early stages of a business and you're trying to balance bringing in enough money to pay next month's rent without it taking up all your time versus getting the thing off the ground, how do you manage? I'm not laughing at you, whoever's asking the question, but you do it with great difficulty, great fucking difficulty. It's not an easy thing to balance. It just isn't. And having started with $820 in the spare bedroom of a house that I couldn't afford, and with a leased fax machine and a phone, I understand that. But there was a chart that I used in, I think, the last podcast where I showed that working 15 hours a day for 40, 50 years, I'm about, at 50 years, I'm about 130 years old based on years compared to an average 40-hour work week, 5 days a week, for 50 or so weeks a year. You need to put in a lot of time. If you're not willing to put in a lot of time, you're never going to be able to pay the rent and expand your business. Time is the key. Time and passion. How do I create a sustainable, successful business working as a night porter responsible for 3 children at the age, if 30, with very poor credit and no previous academic knowledge? You got a tough road to hoe, kid. And I don't mean to be flippant about that. But, the buck stops with you. You're admitting that you're in a bad situation. I'm not going to go into how you got into this bad situation. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, as Einstein said, that's insanity. You got to do something different. I don't know enough specifics about your situation other than the night porter responsible for 3 children. Doesn't talk about if you've got a partner, a spouse, etc. Poor credit means is you failed at some other things. No previous academic knowledge. I'm sure you've already got a ton of regrets. But you're only 30. You've got at least 20, 30 years, if not more, left. But the one thing I can assure you, if you give up, it's over. How do I leap to success from nothing? Well, these podcasts are all about that. You follow your passion, you follow your dream, you find a mentor, somebody that is willing to believe in you. You build that dream team, and it's easier to buy revenue than it is to create it. And in some form or very minimal way, you start making acquisitions. What does your who does my Facebook marketing? Please tell me so I can avoid them like the plague, laughing out loud. Well, I'm not a big Facebook marketer. I post stuff on the Facebook, now you got to remember, I'm not selling anything. We're just making announcements, and most of our announcements are about the seminar. Most of the people that are on Facebook can't afford to come to the seminar. Full stop. Facebook has been proven, in my judgment, that the people don't go on Facebook to buy things. They go on to exchange information and feel good about themselves. During the seminar, we go over 4 or 5 studies that indicate that Facebook is a step towards depression or one that enhances already existing depression because people are trying to live vicariously through somebody else. The 10 or 15 or 18,000 people that I have friends in my various pages on Facebook are trying to live vicariously, but they're not necessarily there to take action. My parent control me so much. How do I make sure I get control of my life? Well, sounds like you live at home. If you're a minor, that's fine. If you're not a minor, you still live at home, something's wrong. You should get out, don't live at home, and be responsible for yourself. What is your opinion on what Jesus said? Give back to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. This is the source is Mark 12:17. I have no real opinion other than he's talking about, generally speaking, God and mammon. In other words, God and money, and that and there's a differentiation. I'm not a terribly religious guy, although I support religious charities. And so it sounds to me that people that stretch and use these kinds of proverbs, they use them as excuses why they're not more successful. Can you teach mentor a late bloomer how to be successful? I can teach mentor just about anybody as long as they have passion, focus, and they follow their dream. How does someone who has to work full-time to support a family leverage Qlae? No different than I did. I was working full-time, and then I lost my job, and I decided to just go fucking do it. I didn't know about that mindset at the time, or at least not where I could verbalize it. I had a big mortgage. I had no money, the least fax machine, etc. And I went out and I leveraged my passion. Didn't call it Qlae in those days. You can do it. And for those people, intellectually you understand. Qlae is easy, intellectually. I can all give you a test and you'd score pretty well if you looked at the website for any length of time. But emotionally it's tough because basically you've got to abandon all the stuff that you were taught by your parents, your grandmother, unless they were high performance coaches and they knew what they were talking about. So it's not that hard, but you have to be committed. In Asian cultures, it often happens to me that people often say yes, and I understand, even when they do not agree with my explanations. This causes problems in my projects. Do you have any advice for me how to deal with this behavior in a way that is not seen as unfriendly in these cultures? No. I've been in Asia almost 10 years, India, China, and here in the Philippines. And there's no easy way to say that, you're not being truthful, you're being disingenuous, you're lying to me. Are you really saying that so you avoid confrontation with me because you're lazy? There's no easy way to say that. There's never a right or a correct manner to tell somebody that they're full of shit. And you'll learn how to do it. And there's a lot of choices in Asia, and perhaps you should review who you're in business with or doing business for. Tell me about a time when you had to go above and beyond to get a job done. Oh, Christ. There's so many, more than gray hair I've got on my beard. I talk about in my recent newsletter, and I may have mentioned it to you in a previous podcast, but it's the most dramatic that I can think of. And this is one of 1,000. I had a commitment to attend a meeting at Frankfurt am Main Airport in 1999, April, May, just after Easter. And I was there to meet Klaus Kleinfeld, who at that time was a young, inspiring guy on the way up at Siemens AG, the 20 or 25th largest company in the world at the time. I'd set up a meeting with 2 or 3 other people that we were going to meet there, one of which I believe was the head of the German practice for Price Waterhouse, and because I think that was prior to joining with Coopers, and perhaps one other. I was involved in a near-fatal sporting accident in Cabo San Lucas with my 2 sons. We were racing dune buggies. As the result of that accident was cracked sternum, all my lungs collapsed, punctured liver, 6 or 8 ribs broken, collarbone shattered. What was left of the collarbone was sticking out of my skin, and massive concussion. It took me a couple days to get out of Mexico, and the stories they tell about the Mexican hospitals are especially the rural areas, are all true. But I rolled into Frankfurt Airport in a restaurant that they wore white gloves to serve you, in a wheelchair, in a running suit, slumped over like this, trying to breathe because I couldn't catch my breath, being pushed by a Mentee. And I looked up at Klaus and the other guy or 2 that were at the meeting, because I knew this was an important meeting for Klaus. It wasn't an important meeting for me. He looked at me and he says, "Dan, what's wrong? What happened to you? Why are you here?" That's commitment. I went way beyond the norm to get the job done, for me to make that introduction at the airport. I didn't go way beyond my own personal commitment level, because I've done similar things like that. But considering I almost fucking died, and I was still fucking there, and I had to fly from Mexico to fucking Frankfurt, half dead, shows going beyond to get the job done. And that's what I expect from all my partners, all my mentees. Unless you're dead or in a coma, I expect you fulfilled to what you tell me you're going to do. And there's no exceptions to that. To this day, that still resonates with Dr. Kleinfeld, who's currently CEO of and chairman of Alcoa. I mean, that is going beyond to get the job done. Dan, question is about focusing and multitasking. I get my best results when I focus on one business, and that's how it should be. I get lots of great ideas, excuse me. As you know, the key is execution. Amen. The problem is I get easily distracted on a new project. Is there a way to successfully multitask? Can this be learned, or is it that some people just can't do it? No. It's a learned process. Just like all systems, processes, and procedures are learned. You can do it, but you have to set your expectations that when you set goals, you're going to accomplish them no matter what. And that will keep you from getting diverted on other projects. With respect to your success you achieved in life, what is the most important advice you can give the Qlae mentee? They ask it in different ways, and I keep putting the question in because a lot of you kids still don't get it. It's just fucking do it. Do it irrespective, as long as it's honest, moral, ethical, and you're not breaking any laws. Just go forward and do it, and you'll learn, and you'll make mistakes, but you'll learn. And every time you make a mistake, you're growing as an individual. I can't make it any clearer than that. I'm a highly motivated and disciplined person in the process of starting a business. I have a strong work ethic, and I'm good at all parts of the business execution, getting things done. My problem is that I am a very shy person. I have a very difficult time introducing myself to people, public speaking, etc. This is one thing that is holding me back from achieving my full potential. I agree with that. But not everybody's a great public speaker. Okay, I think I mentioned on previous podcasts that I failed public speaking or maybe I only got a D in high school, but I got an F in university. And look, I'm a great speaker, but I got to be a great speaker by making a lot of shitty speeches, after I made 15, 20, 30, 40, I was pretty polished. And now I've given thousands, and I consider myself, and not just I consider myself, but many consider me a world-class speaker. So what's the rest of the question? Initially, before I can hire capable salespeople, I will have to do the selling and marketing myself of services that my company can provide, i.e. cold calling, showing up at places to sell these services, etc. What advice can you give me so I can train myself to overcome this fear of speaking and fear of rejection and realize my full potential? 95% or even more than 95% of the people fall into your category: fear of rejection and overcoming the fear of speaking. Now, even Warren Buffett took a course by Dale Carnegie in selling, to sell his first few partnerships. I attended the Dale Carnegie selling course, funny enough, because I was always interested when I was in my late 20s. Now, I was already driving a Mercedes. I was already doing well. But I wanted to see how well my tools, my skill sets were compared to the guy that's teaching this Dale Carnegie course. When they go around the room and they introduce everybody, and then at the break, the instructor came up to me and says, "Dan," I said, you could be teaching this course. Why are you here?" I said, "I just wanted to see the skill sets, to see how good I was or how I could improve." Because, see, I've always been interested in improving. I've always been interested in being the best I can be. But the reason for this little story is Dale Carnegie courses, they still have courses in public speaking. And you can join Toastmasters. I have some of my mentees that have joined Toastmasters, where you speak in front of little small groups, medium-sized groups. I've also had kids that have tried stand-up comic, be a stand-up comedian, which is tougher than just public speaking because you're trying to elicit some sort of laughter. I've had people take acting lessons, and they have all these things free. But you can get to where you're not afraid. And you're right, if you are afraid and you have those fears, it will keep you from realizing your full potential. And this is where partnerships work. They used to say there's a Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside. The Mr. Inside is the administrative guy, and Mr. Outside is the guy that goes out and gets business. You might consider that. Mr. Peña, can you make your report system available to buy and download? No. You get my reporting system if you come to the Council Seminar. It's not too sophisticated, but it does ask hard questions, and it makes you accountable on a daily basis. I want to implement it in my life from now on, okay? there's a fire in your castle and you only can carry 5 books on your way out, which books do you save? Well, I'd save the Bible that the kids from the orphanage gave me. I'd save, I probably wouldn't save Your First 100 Million because there's copies around. I wouldn't save Release Your Brakes because there's copies around. I wouldn't save a couple of the other books that I recommend, like Winning Through Intimidation, because there's books around. I wouldn't save the E-Myth because there's books around. So I'm not sure I'd be saving 5 books, but I just named 4, 5, 6 books that I think that are worth reading. But most of you kids spend too much time reading and not taking action because it's your way of procrastinating in an intellectual way. I enjoyed the new format more, especially when you were screaming at the camera, which scared the shit out of me and made me feel like an idiot. Every time I watch you, the passion and fire rubs off. Good, that's what it's meant to do. I'm very lazy. Oh, fuck. I'm very lazy when not focused and tend to fall back to my own comfort zone easily. How do I keep the fire burning every day to kick ass? I seem to be able to do it for 1 or 2 months, then I relapse. Who are you hanging around with? You know, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You know, who are the 5 people that you're spending most of the time with? I can tell you that they're maybe not necessarily 100% losers, but they're certainly not in the high performance continuum, end of the continuum. As someone who scored a 9 twice, sadly, on your success test, on your success test, what one thing would you focus on improving first? Well, I don't know your results, but 9 is pretty poor. And if you did it twice in successive years, that means you haven't improved any. But I would venture to guess with a pretty strong conviction that it's the people that you're surrounding yourself with. But 9 is pretty sad, considering a perfect score is -3, which I got the first time I took the test. We've had probably less than 6 or 7 people that got a -3 the first time out. How can you build wealth without debt? Not easily. With low interest rates, the way they are now, I mean, low interest rates are made where fortunes are made. And for obvious reasons, because they don't inhibit your ability to borrow great sums of money. But I'm not suggesting, and again, the disclaimer is ask your own accountant and your own lawyer, but I'm not suggesting you just go out willy-nilly and take on debt. Or as they say in Europe, debt. It's much easier when the cycle's going your way. When the cycle's not going your way, I mean, debt is a two-edged sword. And when the economy goes down and the interest rates go up, your debt service will be that much greater. So you can do it, but with much more difficulty. I have benefited from your books and digital products. Finally, someone had the balls to steal Building Your Own Guthrie from my library. Oh, I'm sorry about that. With the utmost respect, I'm asking this question: who will continue your legacy of the spreading the wisdom of future generations? I've answered that before. You've asked it a little different. The answer is nobody is on schedule to do that. I'm not training anybody. I don't have anybody in the wings. I do have 8 or 10 or 12 mini-me's running around doing their version of Dan Peña with various different models. But my wisdom and my legacy will be in the digital products that I've left, and virtually everything I've ever done is now online, and the successes that I've been able to create or help create, and create over 50 billion in wealth and through equity and value in corporations. Like Napoleon Hill, nobody took Napoleon Hill the baton from Napoleon Hill when he passed away. It's not likely anybody is going to take the baton away from me and carry on. But there's plenty of digital stuff too, so they should be talking to me 50 or 100 years, talking about me, I should say, and Qlae 50 to 100 years from now. How does an average person can become self-made millionaire? You know, some of these questions, kids, you know, you didn't do much homework. I mean, all these people are more or less average. We have being average doesn't mean you can't be a high-performance person. Being average is what you do with your average ability. I assume you mean average intelligence, average ability, average sales skills, average communication skills. Well, most of the high-performance people on the planet have average skills. It's how much you want it, what your desire, and what your passion is. What's the most effective way to realize the financial potentials, cash in, for cutting-edge nanotechnology, medical points of care device that has a clear path for monetization, has completed proof of concept? A public offering, either that or which means a flotation, either that or sell to an industry partner. What degree Mason are you? Well, I'm informed that Masons aren't supposed to talk about what degree they are, so if I was a Mason, I wouldn't tell you. So that's the answer to that question. What would be Dan's success strategy if he would be born in Peru? What would it be? What would be his plan what would be his plan if he needed to start from scratch in Peru? I'd probably leave Peru, but it's no different than what I've said. Passion for something that you're willing to work at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mentor, dream team, nothing's changed. What is the correct way to set up one's affirmations? Okay. Let's say my affirmation is to lose 10 pounds. Okay. Having just come back from my birthday, I gained 5 or 6 pounds, of which I've lost half of it since I've been back. But my affirmation would be, I'm excited seeing the way I look at 200 pounds as I was when I was 30 years old. I feel excited seeing myself as I looked when I was 30 years old. Bodacious words: excited, exhilarated, overwhelmed. And you set up the affirmation like that. But the affirmations are based on, well, my goal would be to be 200 pounds. And it's very simple. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet about setting up affirmations. And the least sophisticated, the least complicated, the better. Don't get bogged down in the minutia. How can I mentor lazy people to take action? With great difficulty. But one of the things I tell people all the time, kids, don't waste time on things you can't change. I'll say again, kids, don't waste time on things you can't change. Most lazy people are lazy unless you can get them early on in the cycle. Speaking early on, we just had a request for a couple that's coming to the seminar that want to bring their child. That's not unusual, but the kid's only 10 years old. So I said that wouldn't, and attend the seminar, not just be there in the snooker room and playing with the video games. I said that I didn't think that was a good idea, and my able assistant, Vinica, passed that information on. It just, 10 years old, you're still in your formative years. I understand what the parents want to do, but when I'm talking about donkeys fucking this and doing that, and that's not the kind of thing they need to hear. And especially when I talk about, as I did in a podcast or two ago, when did you stop believing in Santa Claus? And I go around the room, which is one of the drills we do, and everybody says from zero, I never believed in Santa Claus, till 7 or 8, and here we got a 10-year-old, and I say that I was 11 years old when I stopped believing in Santa Claus. I mean, she doesn't need to hear that from me. I probably, the youngest age that we would entertain is probably, depending on their maturity level, 14 or 15. That's plenty early enough to catch them, to make sure that they get on the right path. Hi, Dan. How do you come up with your business ideas? Well, I come up with my business ideas through my mentees. Especially since I've been coaching the last 21 years, rarely have I come up with a startup idea. I have come up with derivative ideas based on startup ideas from mentees. But one of the reasons that I like coaching and mentoring so much is it allows me the benefit of hearing smart people on at least a weekly basis. And at the Castle Seminar, being surrounded by some very bright people. What is the best strategy in maintaining a high level of enthusiasm in your chosen endeavor while simultaneously being confronted by all the varying obstacles along the path of success? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The 5 people that you spend most of the time with. That's the basis, that's the starter. Your mentor, your dream team. That's how you overcome those obstacles that don't become obstacles. But the road to success is always under construction. There are always going to be speed bumps. Sometimes those speed bumps look like the Grand Canyon, but when you get used to and it becomes a habit for you to succeed in spite of all the stuff that happens to us in life, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and success becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Have you been able to generate passion for something you're not good at? Yes. Or have you ever had to generate passion for an area of your life that you were not interested in previously? Yes, to both. And why? Because I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I've coached thousands and thousands of different ideas and got them across the goal line. I didn't love every one of those ideas. But I'm a generalist. I like something if I know in my heart that it can be successful and make money. I didn't have a love for the oil business when I got into it. I now realize that I'm a generalist in that respect, and that's why, although I'm referred to as an oil man, I'm really not. I thought oil and gas came up 2 separate holes when you drill for it, and it comes up one hole and there's a separator at the top of the well. I didn't used to know that. I would like to become a superstar of the national defense industry. I work for the Department of Defense as a supervisory auditor. What would be the most effective and efficient approach? The most effective approach would be to try to get a contract with the federal government or whatever government that you work for, and then outsource that contract, just as I did when I got a $20 million, a $20 million, and a $10 million contract from the Defense Fuel Center for selling jet fuel to the federal government. What is your professional view of Bitcoin ecosystem? I don't follow it. I don't trust it, but that doesn't mean it won't be successful. What jurisdictions would be good starting points for such a business? I'm not sure, but I would imagine tax-free havens. Okay, next question. I want to be an independent Forex trader and make millions. God bless you. Allah blesses you. I love this market very deeply. Well, that's a great start. Do you believe I can succeed, and have you had a mentee who has done it already? I don't know anything about you, kid. If you're passionate, you work 12, 14 hours a day, if you're laser beam focused, if you really want success in it, then you can succeed quantumly. Do I know people that have been successful in Forex trading? I have and know people that have been very successful in trading. But I mean, trading is a two-edged sword. In bull markets, just about anybody can make money. And most of you haven't been through 2 markets. So to answer your question, I do know people that have been successful in trading. What would a 24-year-old fresh out of grad school, Dan Pena, do to kickstart his road to success? I get the same question in different formats all the time. You don't want to believe that just fucking do it works. You want to believe that you got to do some extraordinary research. You don't. I mean, just go after the thing that you're most passionate about. Given the amount of information you have freely available, and the best advice you have is just do it, just fucking do it actually, what kind of question could anyone have left to ask you? That's a good question. If you just fucking do it, there are no questions. What is the goal line? What is the goal line? The way Dan speaks about it, it seems to be where a person's dream meets reality. No, as it is necessary to have a mentor. Yes, in Qlae it is. If so, why? Awaiting a response in anticipation, lazy fucking moron. Well, I mean, if you're a lazy fucking moron, none of this shit's going to work. By definition, if you're a cunt and you're a lazy fucking moron, Allah can't help you. But a mentor makes it easier. We go through some statistics in the seminar that show the geometric difference between businesses without a mentor success and businesses with a mentor success. One of the classic examples I use is Warren Buffett was, and I believe still is, Bill Gates' mentor. But the goal line isn't where a person's dream meets reality. The goal line is where a person's dream comes to fruition. Meaning reality means you make it real, tangible, then the answer is yes to that. I've decided to work on ridding myself of detrimental people, getting my emotional bank account up to zero. Well, that means you're below zero, if you will. I want to ask if this is a good idea, but I think I know the answer I'd get. Yeah. If you're already minus, and we're not talking about minus on the success test, we're talking your emotional bank account is below zero, you've got a long way to go. Do I think this is a good idea? Of course I do. I mean, are you a fucking idiot? What are the top 5 jurisdictions to start technology-based business? If you're talking about jurisdictions within the United States, well, let me just talk about North America. I'd say Silicon Valley, including San Francisco. I'd say New York. I'd say Toronto. I'd say Atlanta, and perhaps Chicago. If you're talking about the world, there's those that I just mentioned, plus I'd say Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, London, and those are all not English speaking, but where you can get English speaking advice. Mr. Peña, I have a question about old people, and I'm not calling you old, but you must have some friends that are high there in age. Correct, I do. What are their regrets? Oh, God. I could give a whole podcast on the guys. When I went to my 50-year reunion November last year, there were a lot of guys that had regrets. Why didn't I go to OCS like Dan? Why didn't I go finish law school? Why did I ever go to college? Why did I have kids? Why didn't I have more kids? Why didn't I get divorced earlier? Why did I, and I can go on and on. Why didn't I follow my dream? I wanted to be a jazz guitarist, and I wound up working as an accountant for Boeing Aircraft. But it's stuff they didn't do. It's stuff they didn't pursue, that now in their late 60s, and almost 70 like me, they're not sick about it, but they're disappointed. Many times I get comments on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, if I'd only met you 20 years ago. Well, it's not too late. Now, if you're 70 or 75, you're running out of runway for sure. I'm asking about successful old people. Same regrets. Successful old people. Why did I do this? Why didn't I get divorced earlier? Why did I have too many kids? It doesn't change. But the bottom line is, whether you're successful or not successful, it's why didn't I take the risk when I could have? As you get older, you play the game would have, should have, could have. I don't play that game. I just go out and do it. I'm taking a huge risk, I'm told, and getting involved in this reality show thing. I'm told this. I didn't do any research, and I didn't Google it, and I didn't do a spreadsheet, but I'm told 99% or 99.9% of all reality show ideas fail. And then even if you can get somebody to pitch them and are interested in them, like I'm at that stage now, most of them fail because they can't sell them to the networks. And then even if you can sell them to the networks, most of them fail. They don't last the 6-week pilot you run. They don't last but 1 week, and they're taken off the air. If I thought about all that shit, I would never got involved. Especially, it's very fucking time consuming. Which, again, fortunately for me, because I'm an eternal optimist, I underestimated grossly the time involved in trying to get this thing off the ground. And but I was able to land one of the leading talent agencies, and I've been able to, at least so far, engage a couple of the most successful production companies in Europe, and they like it. So we'll see. But I mean, it's still a long, long way, and it could fail. And then I'll be telling you on a podcast sometime in 2015, it didn't, or sooner, that it didn't fucking work. And unlike the other guys who will just keep it quiet, the failure, I'll tell you about it. And I'll try to explain how, not necessarily in a reality show concept or format, how you can learn from that mistake or that failure that I made. Okay, it is not making enough money, not spending enough time with my family, not raising their kids, these are the regrets from the people my age, not getting laid enough, not enjoying themselves enough, not having balls to do what they want to do, spending too much time at the office. He's asking if these are the regrets. No. The regret is not taking the risks they could have taken. I've given a lot of eulogies, and I know people don't like hearing this. I've given a lot of eulogies. Fortunately, not many in the last couple years. But when I've been at the hospital when they get ready to die, and not one person has told me that the regret in life was not going to enough Little League games of their children, not going to the ballet of their daughter. In virtually all cases, it's been, I wish that I'd taken this risk, that risk, because now I'll never know. And when I go, that's not going to happen to me. Dan, I am death without direction. Holy shit. I need your help more than I can say with words. It will mean everything to win a seminar commitment with you, to improve the direction of my life in order to help others. Well, that's great. That's a great comment, kid. But you're competing with many thousands of others. At least, okay, so I'm looking for your question, which I guess is on the next slide. My hope to win comes up and down, more up than down. I see a bright future with true information that I can put into practice. So what's your question? You don't have a question. If this is how you follow through, well, you're not going to win the contest on this comment. What age was your oldest Qlae mentee when she started the Qlae path, and were they successful? Yes, the oldest was in his, I think he was in his mid to late 60s. He's now in his late 70s. He may even be 80 now. He's still working. He's in the healthcare business. And he has been successful. And I trained up his 3 sons with Qlae, and they're very successful. And I like to tell the story about this guy. He, not unlike Ray Kroc, who founded McDonald's, but he was, I think, 55 or 56 or 57. This guy was 10 years that's senior to that. And he's been successful. And I've had other people in their 60s, early 60s, that have been successful, but I've had people as old as late 70s attend the seminar. And it was a grandfather, a daughter, and a granddaughter that attended the seminar. and they're all doing well. Why not a Bentley or a BMW? Well, I actually have a Bentley. I think it's called the big Bentley, the four-door Bentley. I don't even know what it's called. I don't drive it. I have a driver. I've never had a BMW. My wife used to have a BMW. But since I got addicted, I don't know if addicted is the right word, to Rolls is in 72, the first one I had. And I've been driving Rolls for the most part, and occasionally off and on with Bentleys since. And they're part of my comfort zone. I don't even think about it. BMW is a great car. I've had Mercedes all along those same years. It's a great car. But the bottom line is, the Rolls and Bentleys cost a lot more money than a BMW or a Mercedes. But that's why I drive them. But I do have a Bentley. What is it all about? Well, there was a movie called What's It All About, Alfie, that was made twice. Once with Michael Caine back in, I believe, the 60s, and once in the early 2000s with Judd, whatever his name is, Judd, I think, English actor. And this guy was a gigolo, Lothario, that ran around getting laid left, right, and center. And then he woke up one day as he was getting older, and he asked himself, what's life all about? And there's a very famous song, What's It All About, Alfie? I think it's sung by Whitney Houston, I think. I'm not sure about that. And life's all about being all you can be. And for me, I mean, I work at it every single damn day. It's like last night when I went down to the gym about 9:20, because when I got done shooting podcasts, I went down and I hadn't worked out, so I went down and lifted weights for about 30 minutes. And then I realized when I was getting ready to go to bed about 11:30, a quarter to 12, I hadn't reviewed my podcast questions for today's shooting, and I stayed up till almost 2 o'clock in the morning reading them and making a couple corrections so I could be prepared. Now, would you guys have done that? Number one, would you have worked out? Of course, the gym is right in my home. I have a big, elaborate gym in my home. Would you have gone downstairs already tired from shooting all day to the gym? And then I watched the news with my wife, Sally. She had a glass of wine. I didn't. No, I take it back. I had a glass of red wine last night. I normally don't, but I had a glass of red wine because I wanted to relax. And then I looked out of the corner of my eye on the little table that's next to me, and I realized I hadn't gone over the questions yet. So I went over the questions, and I put them out so my crack marketing staff could put them in slides so I can read them, because we have a projector thingy behind the camera. And then I wanted to sleep in, but I couldn't. I woke up first time at 4 or 4:15, thinking about the shooting today. And then I went back to sleep, and I woke up at 8:30, which means I got 6.5 hours sleep, which is normally less sleep than I normally get, so I could be prepared. So but I'm a professional, okay. But to me, what's it all about is being all that you can be. And unfortunately, most of you kids that are watching this aren't anywhere near fulfilling your potential. I'm already somewhat successful, but not satisfied with it. What if you're only somewhat successful in your judgment? You're probably not successful at all. You're probably successful in the eyes of somebody else. That doesn't mean anything. How can one grow to the next level, the tens of millions? Show me your friends, show you your future. Who are the 5 people you spend most of the time with? I can just tell by the question that they're not really big high-performance people. You need to jettison the people that you're currently dealing with. If you could choose any business leader, alive or dead, what would you ask them to help you improve your seminar and mentor program? That's a good question. That's different than the normal question I get about that. Well, I don't believe I need any additional assistance on how to be a great public speaker. I don't believe I need any assistance on how to be a better communicator. What I need is assistance and being more tolerant with people that say they want to be a high performance person and actually think they are putting in the effort to be a high performance person when clearly they're not. I've gotten better at it the last 4 or 5 years, especially since I instituted the year-long trained, programmed mentor program that I started in April 2010. And the success record, it speaks for itself. But it's still difficult for me to listen to the bullshit you guys put out based on all the fucking books that you've read. But that's how I would improve my mentor program and improve the seminar. If there's anything that you haven't achieved yet, if so, what the fuck is it? My goal is to touch with Qlae 100 million people on the planet. My market's only 7 million people because we're shooting to make all of you in the top 1/10%, which if you say the 7 billion people on the earth, that's only 7 million people. But I can touch a lot more than the 7 million, and I will touch before they take me off wherever they're going to do with me in many, many years from now. For whatever reason I pass on, I will touch 100 million people. My passion is shrouded in revenge. It's taken me from nothing to something, but hampers my next evolution. That's right, revenge is not a good thing. I know with age and wisdom it will subside. It does. How do I sublimate that energy now and make it my slave instead of my master? You're not passionate enough about something. If you're passionate about something, you'll be able to sublimate revenge easily. Not easily, but much easier. It seems like nowadays everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. In your humble opinion, what type of personality should not attempt to become an entrepreneur? No type of personality. All types of personality can be an entrepreneur. That's what you have the dream team for. Dan, is taking a loan out for starting capital worth it for a startup? Yes. Or is it better to start with a small personal investment, eliminating the risk of defaulting? No. Take out a loan so you have pressure on yourself. But again, talk to your own personal advisor. Besides your books, of course, do you have any book in mind for motivation, learning, business, etc.? I only have $210,000 a year biz, but I have been trying to be the best I can be. Even before discovering you, thanks for everything you do. P.S. Love the cussing. I was in the Navy later, Mr. Peña. The book I would recommend, if you only read one other one other than mine, is Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman. What makes people happy? Success makes people happy. Success makes you feel good about yourself and increases self-esteem. Mr. Peña, what did you think would be your end game? What were your goals in the beginning as a child? I've said many times, I didn't have any real goals as a child. I wasn't a good athlete. I wasn't especially a good student. I graduated with a C+, I think a 2.55 average on a scale of 4 when I got out of high school. I got in a lot of trouble. The only goals my parents had for me, especially my father, was to keep me alive till I reached the age of reason. He didn't know if that was going to be 20, 30, 40, if ever. I was arrested 4 or 5 times in all alcohol-related things. Got in a lot of trouble. And but when I went to when I volunteered for the draft at the height of the Vietnam crisis in the summer of 1966, at the age of 20, I went to I made the right decision, and I went to OCS, Officers Candidate School. And once I got out of Officers Candidate School, and I decided to get out of the Army, the world has been my oyster, more or less. And so then I had goals, but not as a child. My end game, I had no end game as a child. Not a question, but a statement. I will see you at the seminar in the near future. Well, thank you. I look forward to it. And surprisingly enough, a lot of the kids that say that actually do it. For the past 15 years, I have based the majority of my business concepts on brick and mortar platforms. Considering the deep-rooted instability in real estate markets and the shift in consumer spending habits, I have concluded that the e-commerce is best suited for my current and emerging brands. Okay? Do you see this as a basic strategy, best strategic move? And how would you define the future strength of brick and mortar based businesses? The brick and mortar businesses aren't going away. But making a strategic move to make them more digital is not a bad. But I wouldn't just make them digital. I would have a combination. How do I get out of my comfort zone? Just doing it won't cut it. You're wrong. You pick 5 things that you're deathly afraid of. And we spend 45 to 60 minutes on this in the seminar about how Teddy Roosevelt came up with a system where that if you do fearless things, you become less fearful because fear's false expectations appearing real. You take 5 things that you don't like doing. Let's say public speaking, cold calling, making bank presentations. You do those 5 things and do them for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you'll get out of your comfort zone. But you got to do them. Mr. Peña, what advice would you give the parents who want to build in his child confidence and prepare it for the real world? Well, I hate to tell you, parents, that you're probably not the right role models. But giving you the benefit of the doubt, let's say you are the right role model. Show them everything's positive. I talked in a recent podcast that my mother never told me no, and she was always very positive. But there's more to just loving your child to make them successful. And I believe that you do your child or children a disservice by saying they can be anything they can be. You know, I don't agree with President Obama's current politics, but one thing I do, I take my hat off to him and I give them nothing but kudos. It's for setting bodacious goals. For him to think about, he wanted, and I think his goal was to be the first black president, is a big fucking deal. And for that, I mean, he will always be in the list of the most successful goal setters that ever lived. Set big goals and have the kids set big goals and don't be worried about time or failure. Why do you have to use such foul language? Because it fucking works, asshole. If you don't like what you hear, please unsubscribe to my letter, delete my website, fuck off. And if you think high performance people, and we spend about an hour on this in the seminar, we give you all kinds of examples of high performance people from John Fitzgerald Kennedy to Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and a lot of other people that use foul language. It emphasizes, it shows you have passion. But if you don't like it, fuck off. What are your thoughts about Mark Cuban comment on not to get along? I don't follow Mark. I hear he's good. But if you can build your dream team without debt, fine. But with such low interest rates, I think that the risk is more not using debt than using it. But again, I don't know the circumstances, and get your own advice from your own advisors. What would you suggest to somebody or some boy who have a huge English is a second language again. Somebody who has huge ambition and wants to make their lives better for themselves and their family, but in the past they had some setbacks and made mistakes. Debts, which has affected their credit rating. We've all made mistakes, kid. Won't this be a huge problem, say, if they need to get funding from a bank or any other funding? What is the best solution? Dream team, mentor. You will acquire directly or actually indirectly the track record of your dream team. Don't worry so much about your credit rating. Worry about getting your first deal done. Does your modus operandi consist in acting in quantum reality? If you're talking about quantum reality in the terms of physics, I think it does. because we make leaps that and we cross space that we shouldn't be able to. And we take giant steps forward, and we don't grow arithmetically. So in that way, it does. What question do you like the most? What questions do you like the most, Mr. Peña? How they should look like? Again, English is not as a primary language. I like questions that are important to you. You're not asking questions that make me feel good. I can answer all these questions, as I think I've proven without a shadow of a doubt. I doubt very much if any of my competitors can, I really have no competitors in the high performance arena that are coaching or mentoring, but ask me questions that are from the heart, that mean something to you. Then in 1976, a significant event occurred in my life. He's quoting something that I've said that changed the way I looked at opportunities. Between 1976 and 1978, I redefined my meaning for success. He's talking about the first seminar that I attended in 1976 of Jim Newman, and I was introduced to Release Your Brakes. And the second seminar, the advanced seminar I attended with Jim Newman in 1978. What were these events? Okay, well, I just said it's the two seminars that I attended with Jim Newman in 76 and 78. Changed my whole way of thinking. I was considered wrongfully a high-performance Latino Hispanic kid. I already had, matching not Rolls Royce. I had matching Mercedes in the driveway. I'd already had a Rolls Royce, I was, getting awards. And ultimately in '81 I got a big award. But the fact remained that I was being compared to the Latin community. I wasn't even being compared to the non-Latin community, and it changed my way of thinking. I also went from a micro thinker to a macro thinker. I used to be very anal and detail oriented. I'm still anal about certain things. My health is one of them, and that's why I'm in such good shape. But that's what changed my life. I understand the price to action, and it's probably a good thing if I don't win the free seminar. Maybe this question has been answered already, but if you have no history of making deals, how do you get credibility to show potential investors in your business? Is it to do with the quality of your mastermind group? I don't believe in the mastermind group. It works for some people. If you did a little more homework, you'd understand I believe in the mentor system with a dream team. Yes, it does depend on your dream team and your mentor. A question about passion. It can be difficult to find what our true passion is, but as the late Steve Jobs said, keep looking until you find it. I couldn't agree with more with the late Steve Jobs. Keep looking for it until you find it. I think my true passion is to own a designer clothes store because I dream about it. I'm like a child in a candy store when I have those dreams. Then that's your passion, young person, man or woman, whatever you are. But with the internet, the competition and the economy being the way it is, I have doubt if I can make it successful. Well, if you have doubts, then forget about it. If you have doubts in yourself, then it's not going to happen. Dan, do you think I should still follow my dream? Absolutely. What the fuck's wrong with you? Are you stupid? I mean, what's wrong with you? Why you ask me a question like that? How will I be able to compete with a big corporation? Don't worry about it. Just follow your fucking dream. Do I start and see where it takes me? Abso-fucking-lutely, idiot. Quick background. My name is Santansat from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm a real estate investor since I was 17. Started in 2007. I own 5 rental units, 2 raw lands, blah, 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 blah. Gold, silver, foreign currencies, and at 4 ATMs. I'll start a hydroponic business in 2017. I dropped out of high school, and years later from college, I worked in the IT and telecommunication field, selling merchandise and Treasury Department. I read 325 business books. I've read 325 business books, investment, personal development, and politics. I'm currently learning everything I can about commercial real estate, investing, development. But you read too many books already. I also have plans to be an angel investor when I hit the millions. I'm 24 and I feel I started quite late. What is the best advice a person like you can give to a young entrepreneur like me? What were you doing if you were 25 years old again and pursue your goals? I follow my dream and I just fucking do it. What you look what you look in an apprentice or a young person to say he or she will be successful one day. Passion, commitment, and focus. Any suggestions will be more than welcome. I would do something signed for you. No, you don't have to sign anything for me. Thank you. How do you know you're experiencing a breakthrough? You're experiencing a breakthrough when you're accomplishing something that you haven't been able to accomplish before on an emotional level. How important is martial arts training to be successful in business? It isn't. Focus and commitment are important. I'm not martial arts training, but I'm very focused. What would you do to upgrade your peer group, which can be difficult and uncomfortable for you, for a lot of us? Well, one of the more successful mentees I have that came to the seminar in the late 90s, when he went home on his old-time answering machine, when you called his number, it said, "If you don't have my new number, fuck off. I've moved on with my life." He's very successful. What is the best method of not paying any attention to other people's opinion? Many times when I do it, it works, and then a series of events, mostly unfortunate, make me reconsider. Well, there's going to be ups and downs. The road to success is always under construction. Don't worry about the downs, just worry about the ups. What would Dan do? Stick to it, adapt, improvise, and overcome, not pay any attention and move on? All the above. From time to time in my life, I've done all the above. What is your number one question to God? I'd like to say something cute, what's it all about? But my number one question is, I want to be all that I can be. Can you assist me? You've already assisted me. Can you continue to assist me as long as I'm able to be all that I can be and help as many kids get across the goal line using Qlae? Assuming you have no clear vision in terms of direction to the deep desire for financial independence and the right work ethic, can Dan help this person find direction, vision, and follow it? How so? All the time I do it. But without my hands-on to the Castle mentoring system, you need to read and absorb and assimilate everything that's on my website, all the product. Most of the people that have been successful with Qlae never came to a seminar. I've touched many more people through my material that I've never met. Kids, it's been a great podcast. I'm looking forward to continuing doing the podcast. I'm looking forward to continuing to drag as many of you as I possibly can across the goal line. The seminars seem to be fully booked since the advent of my showbiz career on London Real TV. And I'm sure there'll even be more fully booked with the upcoming podcasts that I have scheduled. And of course, next year is my 70th birthday. There's going to be a big gala party at the Castle for the 10th of August, 2015. There'll be events before and after, at least the day before and the day after, not the least of which will be a golf tournament and other activities. It'll be a black tie affair. All Qlae alumni are invited. And as it says on my website, contact Kim, my assistant at Guthrie Castle, for more information. I look forward to this, and I'm enjoying this very, very much. And just from the comments that I get from you, I know that it's been worthwhile. Peace. God bless.